Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Who you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, what we're going to look at in this video is we've got the. Let's have a closer look at Preston. So, this is the 13-month-old baby that was being adopted by two dads, by a couple, and sadly was only in their care for 4 months. And then, during that 4 months, he sustained. Anyway, let's not talk about the injuries and that. We'll talk about those later because I'm sure that's what will be gone through. Again, we've had to listen, haven't we? We've been following the trial and we've inflicted on this boy. So let's not go through them again because they'll probably come up in the course of the evidence being given today. Anyway, so the point that we're at is this lovely, beautiful little boy, he was being adopted by Jaimie Varley, which is this guy. When it comes up, it's not coming up for some reason. Anyway, never mind. Why are my photos not coming up? Let's try that. Finally it's come up. So there's Jaimie Varley. That is the same person. This is Jaimie with his partner John, and there's so these two men were in the process of adopting little Preston, and sadly after just 4 months in the care of these monster dads, as I call them, Preston was rushed to hospital and couldn't be saved. And the question during this trial that needs to be answered is, were the injuries on Preston inflicted deliberately? Was there even more sinister things going on in that household? That's what the prosecution are accusing these two men of. And of course their defence teams and they themselves are saying no, categorically no, they did not do any harm to this boy. All the injuries that were sustained by Preston, which were over 40 in a 4-month period, and the final things that happened to him, whether it was of his airway being blocked, he had bruising on the back of the throat, etc., etc. But they're saying no, nothing to do with them. They didn't do anything wrong, even though there are many photos and videos as well that were recovered that show, if not actual abuse itself, certainly negligence, cruelty, really just cruelty, sadism to this little baby that deserved better. And at one point, for 14 minutes on his own, a little baby like this. Anyway, the point that we're at in the trial is that Jaimie Varley, the guy on the left-hand side there, he is giving evidence. Well, he gave evidence, and now we're going to hear, he's brought his own experts to court. I think you can get an expert to prove more or less anything, really, can't you? Especially if you pay him enough money. And that's what's where the trial is. Start through what I can. I've got Mondays are always a very busy day. I've already had some Spanish classes. I've got some later. I've got to take number one son to work and get some lunch at some point. So I will do what I can. You know, I'm hoping that I can do about an hour now, and then I think it'll be a full day of testimony today. I probably won't be able to get through all of it before I have to go, but rest assured you won't miss any of it, because I will be back. I probably not tonight. I'm not, I've got such a busy day. I won't feel like it. And when I'm tired, I don't want to do it when I'm tired. I want to do it to do justice to little Preston, because he deserves it. So it'd be in the morning probably. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. I thought taking that picture off, but it's come back on again. A special thank you to those of you who bought me Ko-fis, sent PayPals, etc. Thank you to my lovely lurkers. Thank you to Replay Crew. Thank you to my members who contributes to my channel in a positive way. Thank you so much. I just see who's in the chat before I start. I can't get the comments up. Maybe. Oh, there you go. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Lily. Hi, Annie. Nice to see you, Annie. Hope you're okay. Hope you're okay. All of you. Let me take the banner off. So yeah, we're here, aren't we? God, just nothing's working right. Oh, there you go. We're here for Preston, of course. Preston needs a voice. 13 months old, short life, not very nice what happened to him, but we're here for him, and we hope to see justice done for this boy, but we'll see. Now, over on my community posts, I have put some polls up there, or a poll, about whether you think these men are guilty. I'm leaving them up there for a little while. They're innocent till proven guilty. That is our society, isn't it? That is how our society works. So we have to respect that. Maybe there's some of you out there who do think they're innocent. And certainly now we're going to listen today to the testimony of their expert. To that, we may change our minds if we think they're guilty. So I'm taking, don't forget, they're a journalist or anything like that. So the journalists are in the courtroom, and then they are reporting on it in this live feed, if you like. This is the Manchester Evening News that I'm following. So we're back in the court for the trial of Jaimie Varley and John McGowan Vazaka Crane, who is giving his evidence by live link to the courtroom. And Mr. Kennedy Casey will ask questions on behalf of the defendant. So this is Jaimie's defence. So Professor Crane sets out his qualifications in for a number of reports. Produced a number of reports relating to the death of baby Preston Davey. So Mr. Kennedy, Casey, will first address the issue of bruising to the back of Preston's throat, his pharynx. Now remember, Alison Armour, the forensic pathologist, she said that Preston's injuries could not, in her opinion, could not be caused by like intubation or any of the interventions that were given to Preston when he was taken to hospital. And her opinion was that it was caused by obstruction. You're all right. The dog's having a little wind. What's the matter? The airway. And this verdict, her professional opinion, was confirmed by another doctor, Dr. Gifford. So there were two professional medical people who agreed with each other, concurred that Preston's cause of death was obstruction of the airway, and it wouldn't have been caused by anything that the hospital did. Oh. Annie, of course we'll have you. It's great to have you back. It's great to have you back. I'm glad you're coping okay. It's all you can do is cope, isn't it? Can't change anything. Just cope the best we can. That's all we can do, really, isn't it? It's a shame, really, but anyway. That's life. Unfortunately, it is part of life, isn't it? Grieving. That was Queenie said that, didn't she? Grief is the price we pay for love. So there you go. But it's hard. So yeah, don't forget that's what the two medical experts, if you like, for the prosecution said. So Dr. Alison Armour, bruising to the left and right side, confirmed the presence of bruising to the outer layer of the pharynx and muscle layer. So he is confirming there is bruising there. He agrees with Home Office pathologist Dr. Alison Armour that it could have been caused by an object being inserted. However, he does not agree it could have been caused by smothering. He says this is localized bruising and something has been pressing against it. I do not believe occlusion of the nose and mouth could have caused it. It would be my opinion that it's possible that the assertion of a finger, he means insertion there, of a finger into the back of the throat could cause pharyngeal bruising. If we are considering insertion of an object could cause the bruising, a finger is another type of object. If it's pushed to the back of the throat, it could cause injury in that area. You know, I'm already, I don't know about you, but I'm already getting angry because it's like they're trying to put the blame on the hospital staff, you know, for causing little Preston's bruising. But the thing is, you know, the general consensus is that Preston was already dead before he went to the hospital. So he can't have got that. That's what Alison Armour said. He cannot have, this bruising cannot have been caused after death. This is bruising that must have been caused, she thought, quite soon before, but it must have been when little Preston's little heart was still beating. But that by the time he got to the hospital, he was not alive. and that the hospital brought back a faint pulse twice, but could not manage to actually, So he said it's well recognised that a laryngoscope used in intubation can cause injury to the back of the throat. I think it's very important to consider the evidence of the operator, the anaesthetist who is inserting the tube, and the possibility the injury could have occurred during the intubation process, he says. And he refers to a period when circulation continues. We generally take the view that bruising only occurs during life. You require the heart to be beating to pump blood, and if there is damage to tissues, the pumping of the heart causes the blood to leak out of the blood vessels. If the patient is in cardiac arrest, but if during that period the patient is subjected to cardiac massage, it mechanically causes blood to be extracted from the heart to return a degree of circulation. You are trying to get oxygen, irreparable damage. Cardiac massage isn't effective at providing complete circulation. However, it supplies blood to the core areas of the body. He explains the pharynx is served by the same blood vessels that supply blood to the brain. So in effective cardiac massage, you could find bruising. So he's really contradicting what Alison Armour said. And it makes you worry, really, doesn't it, in all of these cases? How can you have two experts, so-called experts, that are saying something different? Shouldn't the experts all be saying the same thing? All the experts, shouldn't they say the same thing? How can two experts say such different things? In the end, it makes you think, I don't ever believe any experts. But anyway, there you go. Because you feel like you can just get an expert to say whatever you want. Dr. Armour identified 7 marks of medical intervention, needle puncture marks and cannulas. She noted there were no signs of injury to those sites. So that's the other thing we have to remember. Dr. Armour did mention the injuries that had been caused by medical intervention, but there were no bruising around there because Preston was already deceased. So that's why it was her conclusion that Preston had received those injuries while he was still alive before he came to the hospital. So the witness was asked the relevance of those findings, and he said, I don't think they help at all. The fact there is no bruising is neither here nor there. God, I'm going to have a thing. So in the end, just who do you believe? Expert 1 or expert 2? Don't forget expert 1, Alison Armour, her findings were backed up by Dr. Gifford as well. So this one says it could be down to several factors. The skill of the surgeon, the fineness of the needle, or if the circulation is only returned to the core of the body, the limbs are not getting effective circulation. This is what Professor Crane says. Let's have a look at him. Who is he? What was his first name? Is he one of these Professor Jack Crane? Is he one of these? Is he one of these teachers? See what his credentials are. this guy is a professor of forensic medicine at Queen's. He doesn't like conspiracies and secrets, apparently. So he was Northern Ireland's state pathologist, and he retired in 2014. 2014. It's quite a long time ago. After 24 years in the job, apparently. So let's have a look. No, he's from Belfast. I don't know if he's on one of them that's on the telly or not, but anyway, it seems reputable. But do you understand what I'm saying? I just can't see how experts can come up with such vastly different conclusions. You know, it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's the value then of the evidence? You know, who is supposed to believe? Do we believe Alison or do we believe Jack Crane? Anyway, Mr. Kennedy then asks about absence of other injuries in the mouth cavity. If an object is placed into the mouth, it's possible one might see injury, for example, to the tongue, cheek lining, and sometimes this is seen with intubation, according to the professor. It's well recognised that occasionally a tooth is knocked out during intubation. And Mr. Kennedy asks, what is your view that the pharyngeal bruising could have been caused by the laryngoscope? And he says it's possible it could. It's possible that it could have been caused during intubation, caused by the blade of the laryngoscope being pressed into the back of the throat. However, he says, he would have to consider the view of the doctor who was carrying out the procedure. God. Professor Crane is now referring to the examination of the lungs. Samples revealed evidence of hemorrhage in the air sacs. Reasons for this. One is airway obstruction, but it is by no means the other one. It was in fact obstruction, but no longer, he says. It is by no way a diagnostic feature. So basically what he's saying is Alison Armour is talking out of her ass. There was also an iron containing pigment which can show previous airway obstruction, but it cannot be treated as diagnostic, the jurors are told. There were also cells indicating signs of aspiration of food material into the lungs in the past, and perhaps more recent inhalation of food material into the lungs, according to the witness. Professor Crane says this may be due to previous gastroesophageal reflux, where some air passages in the lungs, which can cause a reaction and bleeding into the lungs, he says. If a person is unconscious or semi-unconscious, the gag reflex, which usually protects the airway, is either reduced or absent, increasing the risk of inhalation into the airway. This is one of the main reasons for intubation, to prevent food being inhaled into the lungs, he says. Dr. Armour said previous or recent lung hemorrhage is not, in her view, a non-specific finding, i.e. there has to be a cause. However, Professor Crane, basically what he's saying, Alison Armour is talking a load of crap. He says the presence of recent lung hemorrhage are non-specific and not diagnostic of asphyxia. The witness added that not only was that his forensic pathology says this should not be used as a predictor in determining the manner of death. God, talk about throwing your fellow forensic examiner under the bus. So Dr. Crane says the cause of death is unascertained. He agrees upper airways obstruction. So basically, at least he is saying that she could be right, but he's saying that's just one possible cause of death, not and should not be taken as, the only cause of death. In his report, he says the fact Dr. Aubrey found no fluid followed by reflux, later collapse and aspiration. So remember, the cock and ball story that Jaimie Varley came up with was they'd left little Preston, 13-month-old baby, left him in the bath and gone and had a shower. He said he'd left Preston in the bath when like you do with a 13-month-old baby. He went and had a shower, and when he came back, Preston was lying face down in the water. And he thought that Preston had drowned in the water. So now this expert is, because Dr. Armour said no, this guy is saying it could have happened following a bath-related incident, followed by reflux, later collapse and aspiration. And he tells the court he was considering the suggestion that Preston had his face underwater for a limited period of time, insufficient to cause signs of drowning, but sufficient enough to cause hypoxia, i.e. lack of oxygen to the brain, of course vomiting and inhalation of gastric contents into his lungs, which in turn would cause collapse. So don't forget to let me know what you think. Are you buying this? However, cause of death, Professor Crane says his formal cause of death is unascertained, but a possible cause was upper airways obstruction. He says they had to rely on the findings of a post-mortem examination. Yeah, well, that's what you always have to rely on, don't you? A number of non-specific findings, which on their own or taken together could possibly indicate upper airways obstruction. However, it does not necessarily follow that the findings lead to the cause of death as upper airways obstruction. He says there were only a few petechial hemorrhages found in the mouth, and they can't be relied on as evidence of asphyxia. Suffocation is effectively blocking of the mouth and nose, and Professor Crane says suffocation will not find the pharyngeal bruising. So there you go. He's completely, basically, poo-pooing, isn't he? What Alison Armour said. So he says there's a number of possible causes for bleeding into the lungs, and he's not the only one. And he says injuries could have been caused during attempts to resuscitate the baby especially if not done skillfully and professionally. Oh my God, I just don't like this man. So again, he's casting shade on the medical staff that tried for an hour to resuscitate this little baby, who, if he would have been taken to the hospital immediately instead of left struggling for breath on the bed for over an hour, may have survived. And this guy is saying if it wasn't done skillfully and professionally, he's like casting a shade on that medical. They'd be traumatized enough having to deal with a baby dying like that, and now anyway, the bruising, according to him, the bruising to the throat could have been caused by medical equipment, a finger being inserted or a catheter being inserted, according to him. Small areas of bruising to the head, one mechanism would be pressure from the fingers. If there was an attempt to resuscitate the baby and a hand is held over the forehead and scalp, it's possible to cause this bruising, only if the baby is still alive at the time, though, of course. Bruising under the skin to the scalp is not uncommon, according to the witness. Interval bruising to the chin is possibly caused whenever the undersurface of the chin is held during resuscitation. Bruising to the back, small areas of bruising, could be fingertip bruising caused by the trunk being firmly gripped, says the professor. An abrasion could have been caused by Preston lying on his back on a carpet, a friction. Now then, remember this poor little baby Preston. He had a fracture on his arm, didn't he? So he had a broken arm. A fracture to the left humerus involves probably the child being supported or turning. This injury raises the possibility it was non-accidentally sustained, the jury is told. Oh, and Professor Crane says it is not an accidental injury. Right. Oh, that's as far as we've got. Let's just see. So, right. So is he just about now to... Right. Is it me? Oh, they're having a short break. They're having a 20-minute break, which will be injuries to Preston's pelvic organs, bowel and bladder, etc. Now, this guy's supposed to be for the defence, and now it seems he's saying the arm fracture was not accidental, and he's the examiner for the defence. Gosh, it's so confusing, isn't it? Yeah, you're right, Annie. It's like it's half his guesswork, isn't it? How am I going to put this? How am I going to describe this? So, thing is, when you do an autopsy, some things are, blatantly obvious, aren't they? I suppose if someone's got a bullet, but in cases with drowning and strangulation, sometimes it can be a bit more. I mean, you can always, you can tell if somebody's been strangled. You would see the marks around the neck for a start, and the bone in the neck would be broken. That bone, is it the carotid or something, tends to get snapped when people are strangled. Some things are obvious, but when you come to a case like this, It's not obvious, is it? So this case, it's difficult. This jury, I don't envy them at all, because, at the end of the day, nobody was there. Although we've got all these videos of things that happened to Preston, it's all the circumstantial evidence, isn't it? So if you were just to take the autopsy reports, it'd be difficult to convict just on, because it's not cut and dried that it was murder, is it? But if you take, it's when you take all the other things into account. It probably took the police quite a long time to build this case, because they had to go through all the text messages, all the videos. I mean, for me, the most telling things in this case is the total disregard that Jaimie Varley had for Preston's safety. Even if you give him the benefit of the doubt and say, no, there was no SE abuse, the videos and photos that he'd taken of Preston, which were totally inappropriate, they, at the very best, this boy was neglected. So let's not forget, he was put in those spinning cups at the park, and he was found so violently, he was visibly distressed. And Jaimie, instead of comforting him, was videoing it, and then he made him go faster again. And then he was videoing lifting up his eye and to see if he was still conscious or not. These are not normal ways to treat your baby, are they? Then, of course, the other video of 14 minutes, Preston being left on his own in the bath when he was whimpering. Sorry, just the thought of him being there and being scared and distressed. And that twat was just videoing him. He wasn't in the bath seat, he was slipping down in the bath. He was crying, he was distressed, and Jaimie left him there for 14. Then what was it? What the other ones? Oh, the one where he was hanging over the side of the cop bars with blue lips. Phone doesn't seem to be playing this. So yeah, he was hanging over the side of the cop with blue lips and something dribbling from his mouth that the defendants say was just dribble. But what was it? Because the prosecution have brought that up a few times. But what we do know is in a very strange position, hanging over the cop bars, dribbling from his mouth, and his lips were blue. He looked like he needed resuscitation then, according to what they felt. What other videos were there? Oh, there was a video taken of him in the bath with Jaimie, where Jaimie's got nothing on either, and then he poos in the bath. And so instead of rushing to sort him out, Jaimie holds his legs up and videos him. It's not right. Whatever way you look at it, even if you gave him the benefit of the doubt as far as the SEX stuff was concerned, none of those things that are irrefutable, because there is video evidence, none of those things are normal for a father to do to all the focus on Preston's genitals, that Jaimie Varley said he was to make him laugh or show his girlfriend or his boyfriend. That's why he was taking all those pictures of Preston's genitals, apparently. And then there was a photo of Preston with the towel. First of all, he had a towel over him. Then the towel was taken away. And again, his genitals, focus on his genitals. And this twonk said that Preston had pulled the towel away. Aye. So, of course, this is the main evidence that we've heard so far, because it's all about, at the moment, it's all about Jaimie Varley. I wonder if John, the partner, whether he's going to come on and at any point and speak in his own defence, like Jaimie at work most of the time. You know, Jaimie had taken a year off work. But all these incidents seemed to be worse when John was not there, working away, or, you know, and we saw in the last video, we saw the tech was in this baby and John was off gadding around at work. I feel that maybe he felt that John was being unfaithful to him, or I don't know, that's just a feeling that I get from his messages. It was like, get home now, and, you know, I've been looking after this baby all day. You know, this is a man. He's got plenty of support. He's got friends, he's got John, he's got a partner, and he couldn't cope with a baby that he'd only had for 4 months. So why did he ever want a baby? That's what I don't understand, because clearly he has no patience for a baby, and he's got lots of nieces and nephews, so I don't believe that he wouldn't have known what it was like to have a baby. And it just makes me feel that he just, both of them, to be honest, I still believe that they're probably in it together. Both of them just wanted this little boy almost as a plaything, wasn't it? It was like to entertain them, you know, and maybe in an sex way. And, you know, you just wonder, where else did Preston's images go to? Were they sold? You know, were there PDFs involved here? You know, were they in some sort of group? I mean, really, I think, you know, if you were a PDF, what's the best thing to do to be able to abuse children is adopt one, isn't it? You know, like, then you've got a child in your home, don't have to take the risk of kidnapping one. You've got a child right there, like a lamb to the slaughter, this little baby, wasn't he? You know, and the social services, they bear responsibility in this, because there were signs, there were red flags. Even Jaimie himself said he was struggling. He was telling his friends he was suicidal. You know, who spoke up for this little baby? You know, just left him there with these monsters. But anyway. So, break. So they're having a break. I might have to leave it now, actually, because I don't know when they'll come back from the break. But I will be back at some point. As I say, it may not be today because I've got to go shortly, drop my son off at work, then I've got Spanish classes, and then I'll probably be absolutely exhausted because I've been up since 6. But rest assured. Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to do before I go. Let's have a look at these polls, what's happening so far. So yeah, I put a poll on both my channels on the community page. So if you haven't voted in the poll, go to community poll, see this post. I'm just trying to get it up here, might be quicker on the phone. Post. Isn't it coming more? Right, I can get it up on my phone. Let's see. So I asked if John was guilty. 91% of you voted yes, that John would be found guilty. 9% said not sure, but nobody said innocent. So that's John. Let's put. So, of course, these are just our opinions. This is not, the jury will decide whether John is innocent or guilty. But according to you, on my Vicky Marie Chats channel, you voted 91% John is guilty, and 0% he was innocent, and 9% not sure. Then, as far as Jaimie, it's interesting this, because more of you say not guilty for Jaimie Varley, which I personally, I would say the other way around, but just shows you. So as far as Jaimie Varley was concerned, 83% of you that voted think he is guilty. So let's have a look at Jaimie. So 83% of you think he's guilty, 0% of you think he's innocent, and 17% of you, of those who voted, of course, think they're not sure. So don't forget, if you haven't voted, go in and vote, please, because it's interesting. Let's have a look on the other channel now. So on my True Crime Chats channel, let's see if it's the same conclusion on there. See, he's only 67%. So let's go back, have a look at John. 67% of you on that channel said that John was guilty. Again, nobody's saying innocent on any of these. 0% that John is innocent. I'm not sure, 33%. So it's like that's different from the other channel. And where's Jaimie? Jaimie Varley, 67% saying he's guilty, and 33% saying not sure. I mean, there weren't so many votes on that channel, but I find that quite sort of scary. Makes me worry for worry for them, for justice for Preston. But anyway, we've got a lot of evidence to listen to yet. Maybe by the time we've heard the defence evidence, maybe we will think they're innocent. Well, let me know what you think. If it wasn't for all the videos and photos, at the end of the day, it is difficult, isn't it? These sort of cases are always difficult. Uh, these sort of cases are always anyway. Look, so I'm going to have to go. I will be back later when they come back to talk about the arm fracture, etc. Oh, bless him, his little face. I mean, how could you hurt that little one? He's just adorable, isn't he? And as I was, we are genetically programmed to care for our young, not only our young, but to care for babies in general, other people's babies even. That is our genetic disposition, so what went wrong here, I have no idea. But anyway. Okay, I'll see you shortly. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, everyone who came into chat, Kelly, etc. Thank you. And thank you all who are watching this video. Thank you so much for caring about Preston, because you know what? Needs us to care about, because it seems in his life he didn't have that many people caring for him, only maybe his foster mum, possibly his biological mum. We need to find out more about that as well. I'll see you really soon in the next video, and until then, as always, let me say goodbye. Sorry, just take Preston off a minute. Stop sharing just while I say goodbye. So yeah, I'll see you really soon in the next video, and until then, your God go with you. Take care. Bye.